Hello, welcome back. My name is Kenny Conley. I'm the host of the Kidmin Podcast, and I am so glad to have you back with us again. It was always a treat to join you and have Kidmin conversations with you. I'm excited. This is episode 13, and we're going to have a really fun conversation, a conversation I'm really excited about. Actually, over the course of the next couple weeks, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite Kidmin events, programs, strategies, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about baby dedication or child dedication, whatever you call it at your church. We're going to have a conversation about it. Let me tell you, you may not know this about me, but I love baby dedication. Actually, if you followed me over the years, when I started my original blog at childrensministryonline.com, I wrote about child dedication all the time. I was constantly tinkering with it, tweaking it, making adjustments, building new vision around it, and that's never stopped. This one event just captured my heart in such a significant way. And so I love to talk about it. And I love to talk to people about how they do it. And I like to talk people into doing child dedication or baby dedication the way that I do it. Okay. Sorry, that sounds really arrogant, but listen, I feel like I discovered something and I want to share that with you. So I don't know what your background is, what your background with baby dedication is. But this podcast, I'm titling it Reinventing Baby Dedication. And I think a lot of churches are long overdue of reinventing their baby dedication. I think baby dedication might be one of the most underrated things that your church does. And honestly, I think a lot of churches, we're doing it wrong. Like we're not leveraging the opportunity that it is for a lot of people. You know, I've known over the last several years, a lot of churches are seeing less participation in this event. And some churches are questioning whether is this something that we should continue to do. I know a church that I love very dearly, a church that has significantly influenced me in my development, and they stopped doing it altogether. And I remember it really gave me pause. It's like, I don't understand, and I don't agree. But I think that the issue isn't baby dedication. I don't believe it's the relevance of this event. I think it has something to do with maybe how we're doing it. So today isn't about logistics. Today's really just about rethinking what this event could be. Okay. In the coming weeks, we're going to talk logistics. We're going to talk strategy. We're going to talk those kinds of things. But today is really more about exploring what baby dedication could be. Maybe baby dedication at your church needs to be revived. Maybe it needs to be rethought. Maybe it just needs to be retweaked a little bit. Maybe it's not much, but there's lots of reasons why I feel like baby dedication might be on the decline or has been on the decline. I think that sometimes baby dedication, it feels a little bit transactional. Churches will set up maybe once or twice a year a baby dedication. And it could be that there's people that are showing up just for this. They're not really connected to the church, but this is something that the parents want. So they sign up for it. And it feels transactional. Hey, you're offering this thing. We want to take advantage of it. And so it's just this, thanks for doing this. We're going to show up. In those cases, it can oftentimes feel really impersonal. Sometimes like it's a box to check. Like parents are really driven. Like this is something that we need to do. We feel like needs to be done. Here, I'm gonna say this, okay, and maybe I won't say it again. But if you know me, you've heard me say this. Sometimes we've created an experience that feels a little bit like a dog and pony show. Get in line and march out on stage. Everyone's dressed beautiful. And we're going to say a quick prayer, and then it's over. But here's the deal. Sometimes really truly believe that the baby dedication moment for the parents that are on stage, I think it could be really meaningful to them. Like they're treasuring this moment, but it may not feel um, meaningful to everyone in the room. And I would also argue that I think that even if it is meaningful for some of the parents, I think it could be even more meaningful. I think we can do things that can be better. And I'll be perfectly honest. When I stepped into the role as a kids pastor when I was young, of course, I wasn't a parent yet. I didn't love this event. It felt a little bit frustrating. It felt overly logistical. Again, it felt very transactional. There were so many other events that I loved more than this one. And being a parent does change things, but I also think that the churches that I was a part of needed to reinvent, to breathe life into this thing. So here's the deal. I don't think the churches should abandon this. I don't think if this is declining in churches now, it might be demographically. If you're not reaching lots of young families, obviously you're not going to have a whole lot of baby dedications. But I think there's something really important to maybe lean into this and maybe give some new life to baby dedication. Because here's the thing: I don't think baby dedication is a problem. I think maybe our version of it might be the problem. Um, and here's the deal. It's not baby dedication is not a sacrament. So it's flexible. This means you can rethink it. You can reinvent it. Maybe you should reinvent it. So and here's something to think about. Here's an assumption I want to challenge. Parents really don't care about your baby dedication. Some will, but most of them, they're not like when they have their baby, they're not thinking like, oh my gosh, we got to get signed up for our next baby dedication. I don't think parents are thinking about baby dedication maybe the way that you do, or maybe the way we want them to. But I do think that parents, I think they do care about their kids. They care about their future. They care about raising their kids right and doing this right and getting this right. So I think that if we create a baby dedication experience that's meaningful, it's relational, it's experientially rich, I think your parents will line up out the door to be a part of it. Okay, I think it could be a game changer for your ministry and maybe for your church. Let me go back just a little bit and let me let you in on the story. Okay, I want to tell you about how this changed for me because I haven't always been passionate about baby dedication. I've not always been the baby dedication guy. I mean, if you go to kidmin.com, you'll see that I've written 30 or 40 blog posts about baby dedication. So I think that qualifies me as the baby dedication guy. But it wasn't always that way. I honestly, back in the day, I didn't like it. I would actually use the words, I kind of hate it. Like it's not something I'm really excited about. It felt, again, impersonal. It felt a little bit boring. It felt like a routine. It felt performative. Like these are all things that just didn't feel like it was worth doing for these reasons. Again, it felt like a bit like a dog and pony show. I knew that it revolved around young parents getting on stage and presenting their little ones to the church. And I know there's more to it than that, but it felt it just didn't feel like it fit. I know there's so many people that if dedicating your child requires you to stand on stage in front of all of your peers, you're not going to dedicate your baby. Like it's not your thing. It's not what you're going to do. And so I felt like maybe there's got to be a better way. And you know what? When I became a parent, things changed for me. Okay. And for those of you that are parents, um, you're going to understand this. If you're not a parent yet, listen to this because this is important. Now, let me clarify this. I had become a parent, but I hadn't yet had a child. Okay, this is 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I'd been married for 7 or 8 years. My wife and I were at the stage where we had gotten pregnant and we're very excited. Like it was a little bit earlier than we had thought. We thought we had a couple more years before we're going to start our family. But we got pregnant and we got really excited. And then about 8 to 9 weeks into our pregnancy, we heard the heartbeat already. We had already called all our friends, called all our family. We were so excited. And then there were some complications and we lost the baby. Okay. Listen, that's a hard experience. And it's hard for anyone. It was hard for us. It was devastating. Having to call all of our friends back and our family members back to tell them that there wasn't going to be a baby was devastating. And, yeah, that was hard, and I know that far more people have that experience than they'll share with you. Our churches are filled with those kinds of experiences. We got pregnant again within the next year. The same thing happened again, guys, twice in a row. Another few months later, we got pregnant a third time, and that one was lost in miscarriage as well, like 3 in a row. And, so here's what shifted for us, okay? Here's what shifted for us. Pregnancy became a, um, like a survival game. Like, it was a marathon. It was like everything we could do to make it to the end of this. We leaned in hard to our family and friends, and we started a text thread, we started an email group. Guys, this was 20 years ago. This is before Facebook. And every time we had a doctor's appointment, and because of our miscarriages, we had become high risk. So we were going to get the sonogram every week. And every time we would go in, we'd send out a text, we'd send out the email, we'd make a couple phone calls, and we would get our team praying for us. They were like, we had a support team that surrounded us and encouraged us and prayed for us. And we'd come out of those appointments with the news, and they would continue to pray for us. So eventually, we got pregnant and we made it past the first trimester, which is where all of our trouble was. We couldn't get past the first trimester. We got past the first trimester to the second trimester and then to the third trimester. And by this time, we were feeling pretty confident. We're going to have a healthy baby boy. Okay. And we did. Um, I remember this one Sunday morning, I was getting ready to head to church because we were going to do a baby dedication that day. And this was in the era of when Kenny Conley didn't love baby dedications. Now, things had changed for me a little bit, and because it felt different. And I was walking out the door. We were about 8 months pregnant, and I was walking out the door, and my wife, Sarah, she asked me, "Hey, we're about to have our baby. What do we need to do about getting Titus dedicated?" And I told her, "Don't worry about it. Like, we got plenty of time. I'll take care of it." I'm not even sure if I knew what the dates were. But then I told her, it's like, "And we're gonna dedicate Titus 100%, but I've been thinking about something else. I've been thinking about another experience." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, like, I definitely want to dedicate Titus in our church, but I'm kind of thinking that we do the dedication, and whether it's that Sunday or another Sunday, I think we need to invite all of our people over to the house. All the people who've been praying for us, who've been encouraging us. I think we need to invite everyone over to the house, and we're gonna do lunch, and we're just going to celebrate. We're gonna pass baby Titus around, let everybody get their cuddles in. We're gonna pray over him. We're gonna let these people pray over us to see the fruition of their prayers and this journey." And as I was kinda describing what I wanted to do, like, Sarah, like, with a tear rolling down her cheek, saying, like, "That's beautiful." Like, yes, I want that. Like, that is definitely, what I want. And then she asked me a question, which this is Sarah's really good at asking questions. Then she asked, like, "Why don't you do a baby dedication like that for everyone?" And I remember, like, I'm trying to get in the car to go to work, and I'm like, "I I don't even know. Like, I don't even." That's a really great question, but that doesn't even really comprehend for me. Like, how do you this idea that I just have been thinking about of this, like, living room experience that I'm craving for my child and for my experience, is that something I could replicate for everybody? And that idea, it kind of started to sit, it got planted into my brain and into my heart. And a year later, we were actually gone. We weren't actually a part of that church anymore. There was a transition that was unexpected, and we actually found ourselves just starting at a new church in Austin, Texas. And Titus was almost a year, and he had not yet been dedicated. We didn't even get a chance to do the thing that I wanted to do. And this church that I just started at, they had already begun reinventing what their baby dedication could look like. They didn't do it on Sunday mornings. They did it on a Sunday afternoon before a Sunday night service that they did. And they created an experience where they had a little bit more room for celebration, for telling stories, for prayer. And it didn't quite float my boat. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but it gave me time. And within the next year, me and some of my team, we were able to craft an experience that was transformative. And it was this idea of how do we create, this is the term I'm going to use, how do we create what I would call a living room experience for every family that comes to dedicate their little ones. This experience outside of the Sunday morning service where you could slow down, you could take all the time you needed, and there's an opportunity for these families with these new little ones could pause and be surrounded by family and friends, and they could just for a minute listen to the words of encouragement and exhortation and challenge coming from their parents, their in-laws, their brothers and sisters, their small groups, the people that they did life with, and just sit in this moment of where this child is celebrated and blessed and prayed over and dedicated to the Lord, but so are the parents. And this was the beginning of this is what child dedication could look like, where we would create this event that was culture defining for parents as they're starting out their journey. And as a part of that, like leading up to that experience, you invite parents to come to a class. It's required. And you have conversations about the parent's role and what God's called them to do and what the next 16, 17, 18, 20 years looks like from a parent's perspective to help shape the faith of the next generation who are growing up in their house. And it didn't take long for this experience of baby dedication, child dedication to become one of my favorite things to do. Where I cry at every single one of them because of how this event transitioned from being a checkbox event, an event that didn't feel relational or personable, is now becoming celebrated and championed and becomes a catalytic moment for parents at the beginning of their parenting journey when they're already leaning in, and you give them an opportunity, you give them a plan, you give them a map. And I'd say this too, having been a parent who didn't just lose 3 kids. In all, we lost about 7 kids. We've got 3 beautiful children and about 7 more waiting for us in heaven. And for any parent who's gone through that, which I would say many, if not most, have, doing an event like this, I think it's an opportunity to recognize and to celebrate, and it just, I think it's worth the time, it's worth the effort, it's worth the money, it's worth the effort. Wrap the whole thing around a great communication plan, something you celebrate together as a church. We're going to talk about it in logistics in another episode where I'm a big believer of moving this away from the weekend experience so you have more time, but I still think it needs to be intimately connected to the weekend experience so the church doesn't miss out on something that's really worth celebrating. We're going to talk about gifts. We're going to talk about the celebration. We're going to talk about all the things that matter. But I don't know. Does that sound like something that your church needs? I do, and I don't even know your church. I think there's a great way to start the parenting journey, and I think as children's pastors, children's ministry directors, and leaders, we should champion great starts to the parenting journey. Um, what's currently for many of us is this brief moment in a service, and I think it could be more than a moment. I think it could be a milestone, like a mile marker, something that parents will look back on and say, "That was when we got a vision for this what our parenting could be, of who this child could be, of how we could launch them." This could be more than a moment, it could be a launching point of sending this child towards the future that God has intended for them. I think that this moment could be a discipleship moment for moms and dads to realize their role, to realize what's maybe missing, and they can scramble and put together a plan of how they can be the primary spiritual influence in the life of their kid. What if baby dedication becomes a starting line for the next 20 years, the next 18 years of a child's life at your church? So, I think that this is one of the best times to reach parents. Parents lean in, they're willing to read things, they're willing to attend things. Everything is new. I feel like they're open, they're paying attention. And this is an amazing opportunity to connect with them, to cast vision, to partner with them. Because a lot of parents, they feel unprepared, they feel unsure, they feel overwhelmed. And this child dedication experience, the class that you lead before that, it might be the most important hour that you ever get with that parent. So, is it time to retool? Is it time to reinvent your baby dedication? I think it might be. And maybe for you, maybe you're already there. You're really close to this. Maybe it's just some tweaks, it's some adjustments. It's making it putting it in the place where it serves as a platform for everything else you'll build onto this. Okay, so hang in there. We're just getting started with this conversation. In episode 2, we're going to dive into some logistics. We're going to talk about the classes, what they can look like, some things that I've learned. Listen, for the last 20 years, I have built and taken apart and rebuilt and taken apart and rebuilt and taken apart baby dedication a dozen times. I've explored so many different options, and we're going to listen to some other voices too, and learn all the options of what our classes can look like, our communication can look like, what the experience can look like, and the environment can look like as well. So hopefully this is serves as some great inspiration, and hopefully it encourages you and maybe challenges you to rethink what baby dedication looks like in your church. And head to kidmin.com. We have extensive articles about all things baby dedication. You can dive in, you can start doing some research. We'll have more resources to share with you in the coming weeks. And let's see if we can't reinvent baby dedication at all of our churches.